been asked a few times about my thoughts on the law of attraction, and not to offend anybody, but I have to be honest with you, I don't believe in it. According to the law of attraction, positive thoughts manifest positive outcomes and negative thoughts manifest negative outcomes, which, is a principle that I can generally get behind. But my issue is, human beings, we don't like generalities. We always find a way to take a generality and apply it to the extreme, to the point where something like positive psychology becomes toxic positivity. Mental fortitude is not just about thinking positive and happy thoughts. It's not about positive vibes only. Positive vibes is not how you achieve mental health. Positive vibes is the result of mental health. But in order to get there, it requires sometimes a concerted effort to align our perception of reality with what it actually is. The more I advance into my mental health journey, the more apparent it becomes that some of the most consequential principles we can learn as individuals are the ones that don't seem immediately intuitive to us. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you one such contrarian principle that I apply in my life on a regular basis now. This principle calls for occasional negative thinking as a means of improving your mental fortitude. And I'm talking about forcing yourself to think negative thoughts in order to strengthen your mental health. This technique is called negative visualization. And on the other side of this transition, we are going to get into what it is, why you should practice it, and how you can get started. Negative visualization is the practice of imagining some of your worst fears coming to pass. And while it's not the same thing as engaging in obsessive thinking or having an anxiety attack, it is similar in the sense that you are immersing yourself into a scenario that hasn't happened yet or might never happen. The difference between negative visualization and anxiety is that in negative visualization, you're practicing this intentionally. Nothing in your present scenario has prompted you to be thinking this way, but you are doing it to sort of as a reality check. So what are some examples of this? You could start small and think about what it would be like to lose your keys. Imagine yourself in that scenario and how it would put a dent to the rest of your plans for the day. Next, you can move a step up. Imagine what it would be like to lose your job or your house or your parents, heaven forbid. If you feel like you are currently in a situation where you have next to nothing to lose, imagine waking up in a war-torn region of the world in which your most basic human rights aren't a given. The point of this practice is to remind yourself that no matter where in life you currently are, things could always get worse, and the things that we assume to be fixtures in our lives can change at a moment's notice. Obviously, keep yourself in check. If you already have a huge anxiety problem, then maybe this kind of practice isn't something you jump into 2 feet in. But if you can first get yourself to a place of calm, it can be beneficial to integrate negative visualization into your life from time to time. And I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why you should consider doing this. Number 1, it lets you off the hedonic treadmill. So have you ever noticed how short-lived the pleasure you get from acquiring new things or achieving new goals seems to last? Hedonic adaptation is the process by which our level of happiness reverts to baseline in spite of any positive events that might have just occurred to us. This is a double-edged sword because while hedonic adaptation is responsible for the fact that we cannot find lasting happiness from getting what we want, it also means that we don't usually stay in lasting despair from getting what we don't want. Human beings have an amazing ability to adapt, but instead of recognizing this feature about ourselves for what it really is, many of us instead would prefer to tell ourselves a story. The story of, I will be happy when ... So we add to our wish list, we set new goals, we go back to the pursuit, more of what we want and less of what we don't want. That is what an entire economy runs on. But there is a difference between going after something because you feel like you need it for your happiness and going after something because you genuinely value it. This is a subtle but consequential difference, and practicing negative visualization is going to help you make that distinction. Number 2, negative visualization can lessen the emotional impact of negative events to come. We call this building our psychological immune system. Imagine living your entire childhood in a perfectly sanitized environment. You're not allowed to play in the dirt, dirt. You're not allowed to bring home pets. You're not even allowed to eat chicken nuggets with your hands. What do you think would happen the moment you step out into the real world as an adult and you catch a virus for the first time? You're probably going to get pulverized by that virus. And so a similar principle applies to your psychological immune system. If you only allow yourself to think happy thoughts and you're not acknowledging the possibility of undesirable circumstances happening to you, the moment those circumstances come to pass, you're going to feel blindsided. Speaking from personal experience, it's not the initial emotions of the pain and distress of feeling blindsided that hurt the most. It's when those emotions go away and you are left with the lingering thought of, what if I had known? What if I'd been more prepared? Would I have acted differently? Last summer, I made a video talking about the death of my grandmother, which happened over 3 years ago. I was in such a different state of mind back then. I, was running a business. I was completely self-interested. I was completely unconscious. I wasn't conscious about the things that were important and the things that weren't, because in my mind, everything seemed important and the things that were in front of me seemed important. So while my grandmother was just 30 minutes away, that last year of her life, I hardly spent any time with her. And so when she passed away, there was an element of feeling blindsided, because truly it hadn't even crossed my mind that something like that could happen. Let me tell you, fast forward 3+ years, those deadlines that I may or may not have made have zero impact on the life that I'm living today, whereas I still think about my grandmother and the memories that we could have made together, which is why I now practice negative visualization about the people who are in my life, and I now force myself to think about what it would be like to lose them, because that enables me to get a sense of gratitude, which is our third point. Negative visualization helps you want the life that you currently have. We talk a lot about gratitude, and I regret to even mention how commercialized it has become, because in that process of commercialization, gratitude has kind of lost its meaning a little bit. Study after study has shown that people who consistently practice gratitude tend to have better overall physical health and are happier and more optimistic. This study here from 2003 even suggests that college students who experience positive emotions like love and gratitude in the wake of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, those college students went on to become more resilient against depression in the aftermath of 9/11. I used to keep a gratitude journal every morning, but ever since I started incorporating negative visualization into my meditation practice, I naturally dropped the journaling practice that I was doing every morning. This is not to say anything about keeping gratitude journals, because I still think it's a really great habit to get into. But I think for me, once I learned how to actually induce feelings of gratitude, I naturally dropped the practice that simply allowed me to think about what I was grateful for. Because remember, gratitude is ultimately a feeling. It's a construct that you can think about and intellectualize, but it's also a feeling. And when you can experience it as a feeling, that's when it can truly make an impact on your life. So how do you learn to love the life that you currently have? First, imagine what it would be like to lose the various aspects of your life that you take for granted. Once the visualization is over, you will find that you will return to the things that are presently in your life, or the people who are presently in your life, with a newfound sense of gratitude. This is such a rewarding feeling, and I hope that I've communicated it well, because we are now at the end of our video. We talk a lot about mindfulness on this channel, and the technique that I've just shared with you is actually borrowed from the philosophy of Stoicism. Unfortunately, the ancient Stoics, we don't know what they would have thought about mindfulness for sure, but from what I've gathered so far, there doesn't seem to be a contradiction. And in fact, the Stoics probably would have been huge fans of mindfulness meditation if their philosophies could have intersected. Either way, I'm saying to you now, whether it's from Stoicism or about mindfulness, as a principle, negative visualization is hugely beneficial. And I hope that the next time you meditate, you will carve out a couple minutes just to think about the things that you take for granted and what it would be like to lose them. Do this for a little bit every single day and see what that does to your overall level of satisfaction in life. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another video, and I will see you guys next week.